Yes. Welcome, everyone. It's Cannabis News. I'm your host, Joe Klare. It's February 4th, 2020. The show, as always, presented by the Marijuana Times. Find us at marijuanatimes.org. Click the video tab there to find this show. A bunch of great articles and more. marijuanatimes.org. Today, talking about a new program in Colorado to recycle CO2 between a craft brewer and a cannabis grower. Also, Oregon, growing record amounts of marijuana, but hasn't continued the price plummet that we've seen there previously. Prices are starting to come up, at least on the wholesale level. And a minor league basketball team, you call them minor league teams? I don't know. I know it's a baseball term, but a minor league basketball team in New York signed up with the local NORML chapter for a little promotion and sponsorship. Interesting stuff happening in the sports world as of late when it comes to cannabis, all that coming up. First, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by Natureside, nature-side.com, and the organic, all-natural pesticides grow safe and poison-free with Natureside. Don't use harmful chemicals or banned pesticides. Don't use yucky stuff on things that people are going to be ingesting, no matter if it's cannabis or something else. Use Natureside, nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. Thank you, Natureside. For continued awesomeness, this first story is by Jason Sander at marijuanatimes.org. State program will recycle brewers' carbon dioxide to make Colorado cannabis market more eco-friendly. Colorado Health Department and Energy Office recently launched a program that will combine the forces of two businesses operating in niche markets otherwise competing with each other, craft brews and legal cannabis. The program aims to help make both industries more eco-friendly while improving energy efficiency and reducing carbon emissions. The official title is the Carbon Dioxide Reuse Project. It's a partnership between the dispensary called the Clinic Colorado along with the Denver Beer Company. Brewery is a perfect companion for the cannabis dispensary because it features a dog-friendly outdoor beer garden and food features a dog-friendly outdoor beer garden and food trucks. I'm sure that's not the only reason that it's perfect, but it's a couple of the reasons. According to the Denver Post, Charlie Berger, co-founder of the Denver Beer Company, said, quote, brewing a 120-barrel batch of beer produces enough carbon dioxide naturally through fermentation to fill a 500-pound vessel. So we're going to take that CO2, take it to the dispensary where it can be used to help ensure the healthy growth of cannabis plants. Max Cohen, founder and CEO of the clinic, said, quote, carbon dioxide is administered in growing rooms to promote plant health and increase plant yield during cultivation. Recycled carbon dioxide will save the clinic money because they won't have to purchase manufactured CO2. They also won't have to run their trucks in order to do so. The brewery says they'll be able to recycle up to 150,000 pounds of CO2. Good stuff happening in Colorado on the eco side and on the collaboration side, if you will. You know, beer and cannabis don't have to be enemies. They can be friends, partners in many ways, as I'm sure many people watching and listening to this know already. This next story from W Week, WilliametteWeek.com. Oregon grew records amounts. Why do I keep saying records amounts? Oregon grew record amounts. I can speak. I'm a good speechifier. They grew record amounts of recreational cannabis in 2019, but wholesale prices spiked anyway. Annual report on recreational cannabis was released earlier this month by the Oregon Liquor Control Commission. They said weed farmers produced another bumper crop in 2019. That would, of course, seem to put downward price pressure on a market that has been massively oversupplied. However, that's not what is happening here. Demand is coming up enough to meet supply, basically. Wholesale prices went from about $1,700 a pound to about $650. In the second half of 2019, they've boosted back up to about $1,200 a pound, thanks to the demand for edibles and oils. Farmers are better off than they were a year ago, according to the OLCC. It says, quote, even though demand is increasing significantly, it may still, there we go. It may still be consuming prior year's supply of extracts and concentrates, and more time is needed to reduce the back stock of the extract and concentrate inventories. But this markets in every commodity do this. There's an equilibrium that the price is constantly moving toward. And I know we all want to fix it. And we want to say, oh, well, farmers need to make more money, so we need to raise prices. But then consumers have to pay more. And it's a constant balancing act that government always wants to tinker with and try to perfect, but they can't. The market is thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of decisions made every day by people who don't know each other. They'll never know each other. They have different incentives and reasons for doing the things they do. And they try to control that and plan that and kind of plug in numbers and do that kind of thing. That doesn't work. And it's made even more impossible by the fact that it's still hard to gauge marijuana demand. It was illegal for so long that there's really no backlog of consumer data that tells us anything about cannabis use, how much people buy, whatever. We're starting to finally get that kind of data piled up, but it's still early going. It doesn't include most states in the country, at least when it comes to adult use sales. So don't stop trying to predict, stop trying to tinker. It's what's going to happen is going to happen. If prices are too low, people will fall out of the business. That'll raise prices back up as supply comes down, and it goes back and forth. But the more the government, or whether local or state or federal or whatever, tinkers with that process, the more they warp the process and create problems. Which is what government's best at, creating problems. This last story is from RochesterCityNewspaper.com. Rochester Razor Sharks say pot and pro sports are a slam dunk, not to be confused with the Langley Falls Bazooka Sharks. American Dad fans will get that reference. And trust me, right now they are laughing and laughing and laughing. Most of the people at the January meeting of the Rochester chapter of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, NORML, were regulars, veterans who use cannabis as a treatment for post-traumatic stress, and enthusiasts fighting for the right to light up a joint. Apparently that night there were 4 noticeably tall men giggling and wearing perpetual grins who stuck out among the dozen or so attendees. There was also a woman with them. They were members of the Rochester Razor Sharks, a professional minor league basketball team, and the relaunched Premier Basketball League. I've never heard of that, but it's not important. Of course, there's a lot of now developmental leagues when it comes to the NBA and basketball players. The woman who was Jennifer Moore was the team's chief executive officer, or she was that night, and I assume still is. Recently struck a sponsorship deal with the NORML chapter that is believed to be the first of its kind. In exchange for NORML paying the team $250, half the cost of the team's smallest sponsorship package, the Razor Sharks have agreed to promote the Cannabis Crusading organization's advocacy efforts. Under the agreement, players are free to indulge in cannabis in all its forms without repercussions, and the team will actively use its platform to spur conversations about cannabis with the Rochester community. The league leaves drug testing up to individual teams, and the Razor Sharks do not test players. If I see one of them looks like they're snorting coke, then we'll talk, said the coach. Or Moore, rather, the team's chief executive officer. But for THC, she said, no, I won't be testing for that. Apparently the new Premier Basketball League has 4 teams. They go into other sports and their drug testing policies. Sports are coming along slowly, like every other aspect of society, but they are coming along. We talked the other day about a team in Detroit sponsoring, or a cannabis company in Detroit sponsoring a soccer team, however semi-professional they are. I think that, if I remember correctly, they had just become professional that year. In any case, it's slow going, like other aspects of culture and society where cannabis is creeping into. Obviously, it's more advanced in places like TV and movies and things like that. But sports, they're coming around slowly but surely. There's been a lot of talk, obviously, about NBA drug testing policies in the NFL, and a lot of former NFL players especially coming out and saying, look, this helps us a lot more than other things, especially medically. We need to take a look at this and removing the ban. So it's slow going, and it's minor league now, but who knows? 10 years from now, maybe the Houston Rockets will have their mascot coming out with a big joint and say, blast off with the Rockets with Houston Green Bud or whatever. I don't know. You get the point. Making up scenarios on the fly, something along those lines. Maybe your favorite team We have a big cannabis billboard in the stadium. I don't know. It'd be nice. Nice to feel represented at a sports stadium. Say, hey, I've been to that place. That's fantastic. Anyway, thanks everybody for checking us out. Cannabis News. We're here 5 days a week. MarijuanaTimes.org. Search the Marijuana Times on YouTube. Thank you to Nature Side, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening and spreading the truth about cannabis with this show. Please continue to do so. We'll see you next time, right here on Cannabis News.